Nithyanandam, guys, it's the Kundalini Yogini. Welcome back to my channel. I am excited to do a Q&A video for the very first time today. Now, if you haven't yet subscribed, make sure to do so to follow my journey of living the authentic yogic life and sharing with you all how we can live more consciously in the world today. So I'm actually going to be reading through some direct questions I got today from my Instagram followers. If you don't yet follow me, my Instagram handle is kundaliniyoginiyoutube Prasiddha. I'll write it down below. I know it's kind of a mouthful, but I'm going to go through these questions with you guys, some of my favorite questions, and just honestly and straightforward answer you just on the spot my answers to these questions. So I hope you guys enjoy and learn a little bit more about my life and about me. Okay, so my first question was, how did your family react to you becoming Hindu, and how is your relationship with your family now? Great question. So I became Hindu about 3.5 years ago, right after I attended my first Inner Awakening program. It was both a shock to my family, but also not. And I'll tell you why, because my brother had actually explored many different spiritual, many crazy out there paths before I did, about a year before I did. But they never expected me to come back so changed. But it was actually, even though it was a little shocking for them, it was received really, really well. I have to tell you that I was just sharing with someone in an intimate conversation that really so often I realize we underestimate people and we don't even give them a chance to understand us. So this is something I really want to share with you guys in my own experience, that the more that I was in that idea that people wouldn't understand me, I experienced that as my reality, and I never even let people in. I never shared enough. But when I started to feel complete and confident in who I was and what I believed in, I saw that reciprocated back, even with my fully Catholic family, by the way. And really they had so much understanding because I think I was able to share from a place of authenticity of my real experience about how it affected me, how it changed me, how it healed me so deeply. And my relationship is amazing with my family, actually. It's better than it's ever been, hands down. I have relationships with people in my family I didn't know I would be able to have at this point, and it's all because of the techniques I've learned through Hinduism. The way I've been able to complete with all of my past events and to be so blissful in my present has boosted my relationships to the next level in every single way. With my mom, my dad, my brother, my friends, everyone. Okay, next question. What was it that triggered your kickstart towards a spiritual path? Ooh, this is a tricky one. It's kind of hard to define like one single moment, probably maybe like most of you guys experienced, but I would have to say when I actually started questioning things, and that took me quite some time to do that, by the way. I was much too satisfied with the matrix bubble I was living in. When I moved out of the country right after I graduated high school and I took my gap year, I moved to Ecuador, and I actually was living in a little isolated mountain village. At the time, I did not speak Spanish, I didn't know anyone, and I was living with a family, fully immersed. I was more alone than I've ever been in my entire life, and that in itself was what triggered my journey. Just having that space, I can really tell you, I don't know if there was one moment, but it was the fact that I had that space to actually just be with myself, to see who I was, what I believed in. That's when I started questioning, wait, who am I? Do I actually believe everything my parents taught me? Do I actually believe everything school taught me? Am I really the person everyone says I am? And just through that questioning, I started reading a ton of books. I started, watching a lot of videos. I started just constantly researching, absorbing information, expanding my thought process, and that's really what took off the whole journey. Was it hard for your family to accept you living in India at the Adinam? No, it wasn't actually. My family has come into such a beautiful space of understanding, and like I said, the more that I've shared my journey with them, the more they have also grown, and they have transformed more than I ever thought. I mean, really, most of my close friends now and most of my intimate family members are vegetarian, which if you would have told me that a few years ago, I'd be like, no way in hell. Those are the last people on the planet that would ever do that. So to see that ripple effect of consciousness spreading within your intimate reflections, which are your family members, is a really cool thing. And my family is very supportive. Of course, they miss me sometimes, but they are beautifully understanding and have accepted what I've chosen. Now, I got a few marriage questions. As always, people are very interested in my relationship. even though I'm probably can really assure you it's not exactly what you think it is. But
It's not?
I got a few questions. I'll just go over kind of in general. Is there any reason why you chose the path of marriage over sannyas? Why you married Drida? And then I also got one, can you share a bit about your marriage and how it works in Hinduism, in Hindu religion? So I'll kind of merge these two. So the reason I can really tell you, I don't feel like I chose my path by myself. I reached a point in my spiritual journey where I came to the conclusion through my own experience that making my own choices for myself is too much of a struggle and brings constant confusion and suffering. Always going back and forth between, is this the better thing or is this the better thing? This right or wrong, this better, all that kind of stuff. I'm a Libra, so I'm always like in this state of indecision, thinking that balancing everything, right? And I realized that the best experiences I've ever had in my life is when I completely unclutch from controlling my life and go with the flow of life. And when I do that also, I'll get really direct messages, direct calls in this case, from the divine. And I happen to have the biggest blessing of life, which is having the experience of God in a physical body, which is in the master, in the guru. I get to experience my guru Paramahamsa Nithyanandam. And I really put it in his hands. And I told him, of course, I did at that time I knew that I wanted to be with Drida, but I didn't know, like, is this the right choice for me, like all this kind of stuff. And he also didn't either. He was very much between, like, should I take this path of being a monk or should I be living a married life? And really we left it up to the divine, and the divine answered us with the fact that our marriage was going to be for our highest consciousness. And we definitely have nothing of a conventional marriage. And in Hinduism, there's a beautiful context behind it. Now, I shared our story in another video, I'll link below, so I'm not going to go into that in this video. So if you're interested more about how we got together, I'll go into it. You can check that video out. But the context of Hinduism and marriage is that there's actually 7 vows you take that are completely different from marriage in the church in the West. And an extremely powerful, beautiful concept. One of which, just for example, is as the female counterpart, as the wife, you know that a male body, your husband's weakness is insecurity. That's like the male root pattern, basically. And lust, okay? And insecurity is a female's root pattern. So knowing that we have that tendency, we want to liberate each other from those thought currents. Like, even something that deep is one of the vows of Hinduism. And it's all about putting the divine first. It's about putting your spiritual path first above your relationship. And I think that is the transformational context that our relationship holds, and what is so unique and empowering about Hinduism and marriage. It's extremely forward thinking and empowering in every dimension. Okay, I got one question. Madam, what happens when we open the third eye? I haven't been called madam in a while. What happens when we open the third eye? Now that is a mouthful. If I had to sum it up, what happens when you open your third eye is you start to perceive reality as it is. Less and less of your bias or your perception, and seeing things clearly as they are is the practical application of third eye awakening. Now, it sounds all good and fun to have mystical powers, and yes, those are real, but the practical application of day-to-day life is that you can see people clearly, you can see conversations clearly, you can see the outer world clearly. And this sounds like maybe a small thing, but it's a huge thing, because you realize, oh hot damn, I've been having these sunglasses on my whole life, and I've been seeing the world only through this certain lens. And as soon as you awaken your third eye, those glasses get taken off, and you actually see the full dimensions of what reality really is, if that makes sense. Okay, this is a great question. How do you know Hinduism is the right path for you? I knew Hinduism was the right path for me after I decided I will never call myself any other religion again. I encountered Hinduism in the most rawest sense, immersed in India, immersed with the guru, who is extremely traditional and flamboyant in the whole culture of Hinduism and Sanatana Hindu Dharma. I fell in love with Hinduism because Simply put, it is the lifestyle of living in reality. Every answer I had already come to on my own, feeling like, oh, I never need to label myself as anything. The conclusions I had come to about myself, the universe, the cosmos, God, life, I came to in my own inner space was exactly what Hinduism said. So I knew it's silly to not say I'm a Hindu when everything I came to my own experience on aligns perfectly with this science. And it's not a religion. That's why I actually feel so comfortable calling myself a Hindu. It's a full lifestyle, and it's a science of how you can raise your consciousness in everything that you're doing. That's the simplest way I can put it. Okay, I'm gonna end with this question. I'm gonna have to make a second video in this series because I got so many awesome questions. But my last question is, do you live in India, and would you change religions if you had the chance to? Yes, I live in India, and no way in hell I would change my religion. This is a religion I consciously chose. I was not born into this. I was born Catholic, and I went through periods of atheism and periods of New Agey and periods of Buddhism and periods of I'm not calling myself anything, only to come to the conclusion that Hinduism is the deepest level of spirituality in my experience I could find or come across, and still to this date, it proves true. So no, I will not be changing my religion anytime soon. And like I said, Hinduism is not, it doesn't have one set belief system. It's extremely progressive and ever-flowing and ever-changing. Swamiji actually explained a few days ago in satsang, Hinduism it doesn't just have one story. Like every religion has, the big story, the big storyline of the religion, and Hinduism doesn't have one. So it's literally your own religion. It gives you the freedom to have your own religion. That's all it is. So at least I don't see in the foreseeable future that I will be changing that anytime soon. So I will have to make another follow-up video, guys. It's already getting dark here, as you can see, and my husband's arm's getting tired. But I'll be making a follow-up video, and I hope this was interesting. You guys learned a little bit. And if you have more questions, actually comment below. I'll make a follow-up video with those questions also. I really think this is going to be a fun series of doing Q&A videos with you guys. So definitely let me know your questions below. Let me know your experiences if you've been asked these questions yourself. And I will get back to you guys very soon. Nithyanandam, everyone.